Hi everyone, I feel shifted today. I wonder what is inside these things.
Is your uranium-powered cellular matrix making you sick? The answer may not surprise you. It's yes, it's uranium.
I'm really excited because today we're talking about Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty is one show that I'm watching right now as an adult and I absolutely adore. The thing that I like the most about Rick and Morty is the spirit of Rick. He's a rebel. He's all alone against the Galactic Federation that is in this cartoon, and he's always very satirical about the causes he fights for. At the end of the day, even if he doesn't care about social change, even if he doesn't care about the causes he fights for, he ends up saving the day. And for people like me, he's actually a hero. Not to mention, he's also Latino, just like me.
Those stories and more after this break.
So get your portal gun ready and then let's move to the universe of Rick and Morty. Let's get into it. The episode we will review today is called the Rick Atlantic's Mix-Up. So in this episode, we will see a lot of little stories that are happening in the Citadel. If you are not familiar with the show, this is what you need to know. The two main characters are called Rick and Morty. Obviously, Rick is actually a genius, and Morty is his grandson who is not very smart, but they always are in a duo because Rick uses the stupid ways of Morty to protect himself from being detected from the Galactic Federation. He's an enemy of the Federation because he's always against the system, he's the smartest man in the universe, and he cannot be controlled. Now, in this cartoon, there are many multi-universes and many realities living in parallel. So, to escape to the Galactic Federation, then many Ricks from different realities have united and they have formed what they are calling a citadel. Now, the citadel is formed or is governed by a council of Ricks, but the citadel has fallen, and now in this episode we'll be reviewing only one part of the stories that are happening in the Citadel, which is the political campaign to elect the new president of the Citadel. I'm really excited about this one because it's a very good demonstration of what power is, what is a good political campaign, and what good messaging is all about. So let's get into it and then let's check it out.
Just one day remains before our newly Democratic Citadel elects its first president. It's anyone's race among the Rick candidates. But a certain other candidate should be getting at least one vote for most adorable. That's right, the Morty Party candidate still in the race, and you just gotta love him for that.
This is actually very interesting because they're not counting on how divided the Rick Party is. They have 5 candidates, and then counting that there is always a Morty and a Rick, then actually that means that the votes are 50-50. So it's going to be a very interesting race if the Mortys only have 1 candidate and if the Ricks actually have 5 candidates. Normally by the end of the race, actually they should have 1 and 1 or maximum 2 Ricks. But then 5 against 1, actually the 1 has more chances to win. Just math.
We had a good run, sir, but I think it's time to pull out of the race. I feel pretty confident about tonight's debate. You shouldn't, sir. You should be terrified. Maybe you should find a little faith, young man. You don't pay me to have faith.
2 short points here, actually. The first thing is you want to have a campaign manager, and then even if it's not in politics, even if you have a social cause or a social movement, you want to surround yourself by people who are always optimistic, who always have hope, and who are aligned also with the cause that you're fighting. But you should not have all this negativity of people saying, oh, you should quit or you should give up unless that you are actually like in a primary selection or something like that. But then on a final race, you just want to reach the goal. And second, it's very interesting what he mentioned. He's a volunteer. And then actually many people think and then have these preconceptions about the people who work in politics being loaded and having a lot of money. And I can tell you that that's actually not the reality whatsoever. Many times the people who work for social change, people who work in social movements, in political movements, we actually work on a volunteer basis at the beginning many times. We have our day jobs and then we just join after 6 for a drink, and then we start talking about politics, we start putting our energy, and then all of our efforts are actually pro bono. We don't charge for them. And then it's very interesting because when I talk about the first point of what you can pay people with is with hope and with positive thinking, and it's actually very funny because he's saying you don't pay me with optimism. You do get a lot of gratification when you know that actually the people that you're supporting are the ones who are bringing the hope to the room.
More lasers! You can take more time to answer the question if you like. Okay, candidate Morty. The number of displaced Mortys is soaring, while Rick's satisfaction levels are plummeting, and the divide between the two groups has never been wider. Solve that one real quick.
I don't see a divide between Ricks and Mortys.
Oh, shocker. Would like to offer a rebuttal? Gentlemen, I think we can all agree on one thing. Well, it came out as two things, but you get the idea.
You guys finished?
That's actually very powerful. And then actually you will find many times campaign managers and people from PR that will tell you if people start attacking you, just start attacking back. And there is nothing more powerful that if you're on a stage or if you're in the forum in a debate with someone who's very aggressive or with a room that is full of aggressive people, maybe you will stand out by being the one by saying, did you have your piece? Well, let have mine. And then being the calm one actually can be an asset for you because can separate you from the rest, and then you can be the reason voice in the room just by being calm.
The division I see is between the Ricks and Mortys that like the Citadel divided and the rest of us. I see it everywhere I go. I see it in our schools, where they teach Mortys we're all the same because they're threatened by what makes us unique. I see it in our streets, where they give guns to Mortys, so we're too busy fighting each other to fight real injustice. I see it in our factories, where Ricks work for a fraction of their boss's salary, even though they're identical and have the same IQ. The Citadel's problem isn't homeless Mortys or outraged Ricks. A message from the Ricks and Mortys that believe in this Citadel to the Ricks and Mortys that don't. You're outnumbered.
What a good message. I really like this message. I know it's a cartoon, but then this is actually very interesting. You will face a lot of moderators who will try to put their priorities, and then they will say these are the issues that are important to the community. And you will also find candidates and people who will say no, these are the real issues. But then it's very interesting because what Morty did here was actually identifying the problems that are affecting the real people, the real Ricks, or the real community. I don't know how he did that because actually many times research and then focus groups will not tell you what the priorities are. And we need to differentiate many times what are the important issues for us and what are the important issues for the community. And we need to remember that we're here as public servants to actually help the community and to trust that they have the capacity to identify their problems, and we are a platform for them to be heard and then to voice out those problem. So very good job on Morty identifying the real issues, because you can tell that by the images he managed to put the hammer on the nail on this one. And many times actually you should not fall in the trap just to respond an answer, a question that just comes from the moderator. If the question is trying to make you trip, you can turn it around and then talk with basis if you know for sure that you know what are the issues that are affecting the community, and then you know that you have a plan to help those people to bring the power and their resources that they have into the change that they want and they need.
I don't believe it. I can't believe it. I know. That's why you're fired.
I don't blame him, and I would have done the same. Maybe I would not have fired, maybe I would have suggested him to be placed in a different role in the campaign. But for sure, you don't want to be surrounded by a core team in your movement, in your core team, in your social cause that doesn't believe in you and that you have to keep surprising them. You want a team that really believes in you and wants to support you because they understand your cause, they share your passion, and they want to take you to the finish line. They should not be just waiting for you to surprise them. You should rely on them just to challenge you, to make you a better leader every day, but not to stop believing in you and then to make you to be a constant reminder that you're not going to cross the finish line.
Meanwhile, in election news, an unexpected turn of events as Morty from the Morty Party soars to the top of the polls. Yes, Morty, what's your original reality and where's your Rick?
Gosh, we moved around so much it's hard to remember. I see every Rick as my Rick. I hope they see me as their Morty. Another, please, with less water.
This is actually very funny, and if you had the chance, please go to the channel and check out the other series we have. It's called Politics After 6, because many times actually the most interesting things happen in politics after 6 and over a drink. So I'm not encouraging people to drink here, but then actually it's very normal that many of us, when we start in politics, we have another job and then we just join in a bar to have a discussion about how the campaigns are going to be, and then maybe, yeah, you don't need to have a drink, you don't need to have a whiskey, but then you share something, and then it's this bar environment that actually creates a lot of nostalgia in me, because that's where you are very candid, that's where you learn, that's where you speak about politics. So check out our other series, because I try to be as candid as possible with the lessons that I have learned on the road in social causes and in political movements.
Maybe. Hey, did you end up getting a new job? Yeah, I did. Assassinating.
This is very sad, and normally I always try to keep a cheerful tone here, but then actually let's just take a moment to acknowledge that the profession of social change, and then the profession of us being the leaders and champions for change, sometimes is actually quite dangerous. The thing that happened here to Morty can happen many times actually on the road, because you will meet many times people who are radical and who don't want to talk, but then they actually want to harass you or maybe even attack you physically. It is very sad, but then it's a very interesting thing. This is also a reference to the death of Bobby Kennedy, who died on the campaign trail after his brother was assassinated. But then when you take the responsibility to lead a movement, rather political or social, then you need to understand that your life is very precious and that you owe it to the people to be safe, because they're expecting or relying on you to actually take the message, and you being harmed actually can harm a lot the cause. So just be careful, and then take safety very seriously.
You were saying, Garment District Rick?
We were saying, President Morty, that we don't care who sits in that seat. A Rick, a Morty, a goddamn Jerry, doesn't matter. We've been running the Citadel since before the council, and you'll find that we're still running it now.
Does he really speak for everyone here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I think it's important to be clear. Raise your hand if he speaks for you.
All right, that escalated very fast, and that went very violent very fast. However, if we omit the shooting, I can tell you one thing. When you enter to office, when you enter to a position of power, actually you will many times get surrounded by people who will tell you the change that you came here to do is not gonna be possible. And you should not be afraid to challenge them. Do not kill them, but challenge those people at least, and then tell them, you know what, we're going to make change happen. And then many times actually you have to bring with you a staff of people who are very supportive and share your cause, and that will make sure that change happens. If that was your platform and that's what people expect you to do, you should be able to push for that change, if that change obviously is for good.
This seems like a good time for a drink and a cold, calculated speech with sinister overtones. A speech about politics, about order, brotherhood, power. But speeches are for campaigning. Now is the time for action.
Oh, Jesus Christ, that's a little bit strong.
That fucking guy. Tell me about it.
Now, this was a really interesting episode, and yes, of course, it was a cartoon, and it has a lot of dark tones. That dark type of humor is what I like about Rick and Morty. But then let's try to draw some conclusions on the positive side out of all this campaign, and then how everything turned out. First of all, the thing that caught my attention the most was actually the importance to have a campaign that shares your purpose and that changes your positivity to go to the finish line. Now, this is very important. You want to surround yourself in social movements, in political movements, with people that share your same purpose and share your same drive. So it's very important that not only during the campaign time, but also if you get elected in the time of office, and if you're working in a social movement, meaning in the process of actually protesting and then taking proposals, it is very crucial and very important that always you surround yourself with people who share the same drive and purpose as you do for you to achieve change. And then to end up in a communication related message, it is very important that many times when you are surrounded by very aggressive candidates, integrative politics work. And this is very important because this is what Morty did at his speech when he was on the debate. Yes, I have mentioned before that we live in a very polarized society. I have mentioned before that we also have a very big narrative of us versus them. But many times you will realize that people are tired of that division, and people are tired of the rhetoric of just us versus them. They are outnumbered, and I'm very happy that Morty said that. They are outnumbered. Those who believe that division can win, they are outnumbered. Maybe there are many people who are disengaged, but those type of integrative speeches are actually a sign of hope, and I really hope that that's what we get to see more and more in politics in the future. So if we don't take into consideration the very sinister twist that happened at the end, I think that this episode was very interesting and gave us some actually very constructive lessons about what a good political campaign is and what the purpose of our causes are. But what do you think? Leave a comment in the comment section. Maybe suggest to me what cartoon should I be talking about next time, and subscribe, hit the bell. I really hope to see you next time. So, see ya.